Hey, so this video is going to be about deep thinking and deep thinkers. And if you're a deep thinker, you'll probably really like this video because you'll feel understood and you'll know that I know what it's like when you can't turn your brain off. And in this video, it does take me a little second to get my mind going. It takes me a little minute. But if you just kind of bear with me, like I really get into it. Like you can start picturing the way that my brain works and the questions on questions that come through it, and I think that it's quite entertaining to watch. So if you do get any deep thoughts like this and you think about the way that you think, I would love it if you would leave a comment and tell me about it, and I'm hopefully going to make more of these videos. So just lock in, lads. Do you think more than other people think? Like, do you ever talk to someone and you realize about how shallow their thought process really goes? Do you actually speak to someone and you think of what it would be like to be in their head, to like have it where they go from one idea and then the next, but they didn't think about that first idea? They've had an idea slip through their brain and they didn't have the curiosity. They didn't have the wonder to just kind of think about what could possibly branch off from it. Like I think of my mind could be like, my mind can be portrayed as the way that a tree looks, where one thought is like the base of the tree. And as you go up, it branches. And then those branches turn into more branches. Then those branches turn into more branches. And then there are fruits at the end of those branches where it's a bit of realization and kind of self-awareness that I achieve. But I've gone through so many branches and there's been so many thoughts that all just stemmed off of one thing that was just in my head, and it's just all grown off of one thing. And you talk to someone and the other person, they would just have that first thought and they wouldn't have gone anywhere with it. They would have just stuck with that one thought until it moved on to the next, and they wouldn't have wondered of everything that can come off of that thought. They wouldn't have thought about how their actions have these consequences and how those consequences have these different consequences and how those different consequences can lead to these things happening. They don't think. People just don't think. You need to, like, I dive so deeply into almost every thought that I have to the point where it is so draining, and it's so hard to find people that actually understand that in the same way that you do, in the way that when you talk to someone and all I want to do is question stuff, like all I want to do is to understand their thought process, and I want them to be able to understand mine. I want to speak to someone that looks into my mind with the same passion that I do, because when I'm talking about something, when I'm looking at a problem, I'm trying to understand it from every perspective. I'm trying to empathize with every person that's involved so I can understand where the intention stemmed from that made them do what they did. And it's like I actually feel exactly what they felt when they were making this decision, and then I can feel what the reciprocator felt when the decision was over, and I think about all of it, and it seems so rare that anyone else thinks about all of it too. I'm aware that there are people that do, and that's where this series has come from, the deep thinkers, because I think so deeply about it all, and it baffles me that other people can't. Like, I don't understand how you can do an action that affects someone else and think of it in such almost like a selfish way, but they're not aware that they're selfish because they haven't thought that they're being selfish, because they've just thought the thought and then acted the thought out. They didn't think about the thought and then think more on the actual, they didn't build up their thought process. They just thought it and did it. People just have these shallow minds and they just don't clock it. They feel it. They have these emotions. They act on it, and that's kind of. It seems like that's where it ends. People don't just keep going. People don't just keep thinking. And it can, for people, like, if you're understanding what I'm saying and you're not just thinking that I'm crazy, because, like, if you can actually understand this and you're empathizing with it because you've experienced it too, then you'll understand how lonely it can be. Because when you're trying to find people that understand you the same way that you understand yourself, and it just doesn't seem to be out there because everyone else just has these shallow thoughts, and you feel so lonely because how am I talking to, like, how can you talk to someone that doesn't enrich your life at all? How can you just have a conversation because it's socializing? How can you not want to have the conversation so you can see how deeply you can dive into what you talk about, to see how far the rabbit holes can go? And, like, when you're talking to someone that gets it, and you're talking to someone that, like, they go, like, they don't even have to go as deep as you go, but if they have any depth at all, it lights up your brain because you're speaking to someone that has questions for it, that has the empathy, that has the ability to find a middle ground. And when you find something like that, like, the world feels so much less lonely, and you don't need a lot of people that go that deeply. You just need to find someone that can help nourish your own questions. And it's like, it's just such an insight that, like, how, like, when I look at a problem, when I look at, like, two people having a fight, like an argument over social media, and someone tells me what's happened to them, where they've been involved in it, and I want to speak to the other person. I want to speak to the person you're talking badly about because I want to know why they did it. I want to see their intention about it. I don't want to hear someone speaking about someone else's intention. I only want to ask the person that did the action of what their actual intention was, because it's the intention that matters more than anything else. You know, it's like, if you do something bad but you do it for a good reason, did you really do something bad? And I think it depends on the intention, because if the bad thing heavily outweighs the good, well, then how is there a good intention about it? But if you do something like that where the good outweighs the bad, and that was your intention, you understood that the good outweighs the bad, well, then it's not, you didn't really do a bad thing. You know, of course that would be so situational, like, that's not going to work for every single scenario, but you've just got to be able to understand why people do what they do. And if they don't do something for a good reason, well, then they haven't thought about it. They just did it because it would have benefited them, or because it was what their emotions were telling them. They don't have emotional intelligence when it comes to their own emotions. They only have this emotional intelligence, well, like, when it comes to being the third party. And, like, how can you not have this self-reflection of your own emotions? How do you feel an emotion? Like, it's a bit different when there's a really intense emotion. You know, like, I'm not perfect. Just because I can understand myself and the way that I think, I'm not trying to make it out to be the fact that I don't make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. And because of that, it has to be okay, because we all do it. And so when I make a mistake, I can put the self-understanding to myself to know that, yes, I made a mistake, but if I had good intentions about it, then, like, was it really that bad of a mistake to do? Whereas if I do something bad and I know that I had bad intentions about it, well, then I would feel shitty. But because I've thought and I've empathized about everyone that would be involved by the action that I make, I don't do things that with a bad intention, because how can I empathize with someone? How can I feel what they're going to feel after I do something bad and still do it? Like, I don't want to cause that type of pain to anyone. And it baffles. And when you don't think, you wouldn't comprehend what these bad feelings are. You wouldn't understand that you're going to hurt someone by doing something to them. It's so unremorseful. And it's just crazy. Like, when people can still have deep thoughts without being deep thinkers, because when all you do is think, you're a deep thinker. But when people have the slight depth, the slight questions, they're in deep thought. They might not be a deep thinker, but they can be in deep thought. And that to me is quite nourishing. And it might be to you as well. You might have a few friends, but the few friends that you do have, you have relatively deep conversations with. And that like would do wonders for you, because you get to talk about stuff that not many other people that you meet would talk about. The other people that you meet wouldn't even be able to know where to begin about it. And you might not be able to go straight into the depths of thought, but you could go just into the ideas of these like philosophical and moral questions, where there's situations that have occurred that you or them might have been involved in, and you get to just ask them about it, and you get to understand their intention about it. And because these people, they understand their own intentions, they understand the way that they work, when you get to talk to them and you get to learn about it, it's so valuable to you, because you actually get to think like they do. You get to, like, when someone can explain to you the way that their mind works, and you can actively empathize with it in the way that you can feel the way that they feel, and therefore you get to think the way that they think, it just baffles you, and it just amazes you, and it makes you really like talking to people when they get to share the way that their mind works, because that's all you want to know, is the way that people think. Because how are you doing? Like, people that think don't do as bad things, because they've thought about what the bad things feel about, like how the bad things feel. They know what it's like to be on the receiving end, and because of that, they don't want to be on the side that makes the bad things happen. There's so much more empathy, so much more sympathy, so much more understanding that comes with being a deep thinker. And it's so hard to find other people that think as deeply, because as a society, we get rewarded for shallow and quick and fast thinking. Like, you know, we just, like, as a society, you get rewarded if you can be that spontaneous person with the confidence where you just trust your abilities and you just do it. But just doing it, but you haven't thought about it, you haven't had the time to think about it. How have you had the time to go through that whole tree and all of those branches of thought to understand how your action is actually going to affect all of these different, like, third parties, people that just aren't involved in it, but they still get the reaction, they still get some repercussions. Like, if you think quickly, you can't think about everything that you're going to do. And if you do think this deeply, to the point where you think about everything and everyone, it slows you down. And society just doesn't understand. Society doesn't reward you for slowing down your thoughts and taking the time to count in everything, and to factor everyone that you're going to affect with your actions. Like, Christ, bro, it just, I don't know, it like people just don't think as much as they should. And when you do think all the time, it makes you feel like you're going crazy, but I promise you, you're not. You just have so much more empathy than you know what to do with. But thinking all the time, having this heightened level of thought, this hyper self-awareness, it can be so rewarding when you get to talk to someone that gets it, because, like, they tell you their situation and you can understand it. You get to talk to them as if you are in their shoes. And for some people, that is a level of compassion and a level of understanding that they've never been able to feel before, because everyone else that they've spoken to that has been such a shallow thinker, like they would just think of it on the surface level. They might think how they would feel, and if they would feel bad, then that leads to sympathy, but they can't comprehend feeling what someone else feels. They can't put themselves in the other person's shoes like that. And it's just, I keep losing my train of thought, because this whole video is my tree of thought. It's me thinking about thinking and trying to tell you about all these different branches of thought that comes from the thought of thinking from me. And I'm starting to be like a fucking rapper with these fucking bro, like I'm just trying to get my point across, and if you get it, you'll get it, and if you don't, you like, I hope I can help. Like, I just think my mind's just on, and it's like, a lot of people with their minds on, they like talking about philosophy and ethics and stuff like that, because it's the only way. It's not the only way, but it's one of the easiest ways to get a shallow thinker to think a bit deeper, because they actually have to question what's going on. Like, a moral question is a question that makes you question more. And when all you do is question the questions that you've got in your head, like, you have such a strong moral understanding. And when you get to talk to someone that also like that doesn't usually get to have that same depth, but when it comes to philosophy and they get to think about it just a little bit deeper, they go that little step further, and it's just like, it's a bit rewarding to watch. So yeah, I don't know, I'm just starting to feel a bit cooked, but I'm hopefully going to make more of these videos, because this is really fun to me. This is just the way that my mind works. And if your mind works like this as well, I would love to learn about it. I want to learn about how anyone thinks. So yeah, just see you later, guys.